So welcome everybody to I guess the first installment of Sly and JB's movie reviews. We'll try and keep this current. We're going to be doing Alien Covenant. I say current. It's current for us. Who the hell knows when you're watching it?
We saw Alien Covenant probably last week, maybe a week and a half ago. I know I was pretty excited for it. I know Sly's a big fan of the series. I'm a pretty big fan as well. I've seen everything in the series. I know Bennett. I know Sly has as well.
You're welcome to use my real name.
Okay,
I
we
won't,
can
I
do
won't
that?
hold it against you.
Okay.
Yes, it'll make it easier anyway.
I mean, I love Alien 1 and 2. 3 is what it is. 4 is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone was really excited to check out Prometheus when it finally came out.
Yeah.
And then it was a problematic turd. I mean, I love watching Prometheus, don't get me wrong.
Oh, it's a blast.
But boy, is it not what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it was a letdown, I thought. Ben, any different thoughts on the series?
No, I felt the same way. It was, I'd say Prometheus 1. We're going to call that Prometheus 1. We're going to call what we just saw last week Prometheus 2, like is what it probably should have been called in the first place. Prometheus 2 built very well off Prometheus 1 in the sense that it was not an alien movie. It did not strike me as an alien movie. We were going in a very different direction, and my biggest problem with Prometheus 1 was that even if you wanted to go in a different direction, it was still just a poorly done film. For something that I was given the impression had been on Ridley Scott's mind, this is something he'd been writing and thinking about for decades. Like, this has been supposedly in the works since Alien.
Right.
And it just, I think that's where I felt the most let down with both of these movies is, you're thinking this is coming from the guy that came up with Alien. This is going to be more Alien here. And clearly that's not what he wanted to do.
Ben, you reminded me of something. Back before, I guess it was probably before Alien Resurrection, there were a lot of books and I don't know what to call them, but there were these books and documentaries and things like that were made about all of the lore of Alien.
For sure.
The Alien series, and I'm pretty sure that Ridley Scott was involved with them, even if he might have produced them. I can't remember if he produced them or not, but I remember being interested in those. I remember people being interested in those books and wanting to know more about what was in that. What was an engineer? Where did they come from? Why are they so big? And what was their ship? It kind of looked like the ship was living. Were they part of the ship? Did the ship die when they died? Like, there was all these questions that I remember feeling like they were really interesting and provocative prior to Alien Resurrection. Not that was the cause, but prior to Alien Resurrection, I remember really there being a strong push for what was that ship? What were the secrets of this universe?
For sure.
And I think that's kind of what got everyone in the door for Prometheus. And I remember thinking, one, I don't really think this was what I found in those books. Or to say it another way, I don't really think that Prometheus really followed up on the leads that I found interesting outside of the creature, outside of the xenomorph, outside of that.
Yeah.
Like, the lore wasn't taken in a direction that I found interesting. And I found myself kind of, I was no longer interested in those questions. Like, that had kind of like, if that's the story you're going to tell, if it's on the level of Prometheus, I'll pop some popcorn and have a good time watching a bunch of idiots get killed by
doing retarded stuff,
tentacle monsters or whatever.
Dipping their faces into things that no intelligent human being, half intelligent, not even full intelligent, half intelligent person would ever dip their face in. So, and by the way, we will go into more detail with the criticism in a separate video. This will be as spoiler free as we can possibly get it.
Good man. Good man. So let's get into it. What did you like about Alien Covenant?
What did I like?
Big, small, whatever. What do you think?
I will say, of the positives from that movie that I took out of it, there were some very good individual acting performances.
Totally.
there was certainly some great acting. I think.
Anybody stand out?
Well, I mean, look, Fassbender's a terrific actor. There's a reason they
Totally agree.
there's a reason they showcased him. I think everybody on set knew this is who we should be pointing a camera at.
Right.
And look, other actors certainly did well. I think
How'd you like Danny McBride?
I think I was expecting probably not much, or at least I was kind of like, I was very anxious to see how he could overcome the persona, the comedic persona he built up for himself. And I thought he actually did a solid job. I think the direction was poor with I guess from the directing side, what they gave him the ability to show on screen, I think was kind of poor.
Okay.
But what they did give him the ability to do on screen, he did a pretty good job.
I agree.
But yeah, aside from the individual acting performances, I thought the visuals were terrific. There were a lot of really, I think you said the same thing. There were really terrific CG visuals that really blew you away, kind of took your breath away.
Sure.
The scope and
how about the planet?
everything.
I thought the planet looked.
Yeah.
I know they filmed this planet on Earth, although I'm sure some of the vistas were at least digitally enhanced, if not digitally created.
Yeah.
But I didn't think, they're just in some far out place on Earth. They're not just in New Zealand.
Yeah, right. They're not in Middle Earth.
Papua New Guinea, but I legitimately found myself thinking wow, it feels like they're on another world, like an alien
for sure
paradise. So I agree. I thought that visually, like Prometheus, that's kind of a misnomer. Prometheus, I thought, did a great job with its visuals. Like, it's a beautiful film, but I don't really think it made sense in the alien universe. Yeah. This movie feels, at least visually, feels like it's part of the alien universe.
Yeah, like they stumbled across this garden world, and it really was not as perfect as it looked like.
No. Another thing I really thought was great was I thought the music, the soundtrack was fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
It felt like, again, the music felt like something from an alien film. And then on its own right, I thought the music was great too. And the music was something that I thought really helped the beginning set the tone. So I don't think it's any secret that Ben and I didn't like this film. But I thought the movie started off... not the first scene. But the first scene was extremely problematic. But after the first scene, I really thought, like, for the first 20 or so minutes, maybe, I really felt like we are in an alien film. Like, it had the kind of, like, that lo-fi... It's in the future.
They pulled that off well, for sure.
The ship didn't seem like, it was high-tech. Yeah, it was futuristic, but it still felt like there were knobs and levers and things like that made it feel like this was not the nicest place. This time period isn't the nicest for humans. It's still it's still rough and real, and there are rough edges out there. So I thought the beginning in general, but specifically the visuals in the beginning, the soundtrack at the beginning, were amongst the strongest parts of the film.
Yeah, they pulled. I agree. They pulled some really good sound. They had a good mix of recycling some. I remember sitting there thinking, I was like, man, this sounds... I think this is actually from the original Alien.
Sure.
And they would have, like, hints, like really beautiful hints of the original Alien, and then they actually pulled, the best, the main, I think, bits of the soundtrack from Prometheus 1, as you'll say. That's still a beautiful track. Again, from Prometheus 1, I think it had really great music.
Was there anything else, maybe, that stuck out to you on the positive side?
Let's see. Is there anything that really stands out?
I might have one or two more things.
Yeah. There were plenty of decent concepts in that movie. I think there were things there that I could find as interesting jump off points in a completely different direction if they wanted to go just make a whole new franchise of movies. Like maybe there was stuff there, but
so we have Alien, we have Prometheus, and now we're gonna have Achilles or something.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I did not come away with a ton of positive.
That's fair.
Despite I'm sure it was a well-made movie. Don't get me wrong. It's certainly a well-made movie.
I had a couple of other positives. I didn't think all of the action sequences were great. think there's only really maybe three real action sequences. I thought the last one, the very end, although like the tone of it I thought was cool.
Yeah.
I thought we were kind of almost playing notes that were a little too familiar, but there's a scene in like the high grass that I thought was pretty tense.
Okay, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and there was a scene when they're trying to leave the planet that again I thought was very tense. And again, the direction, as far as like the visual direction, it's a stimulating, it's a well shot sequence. Both of those, so I thought those were on the positives.
Sure.
I thought the creature designs, they were gnarly. I mean, I don't really think I've seen anything in film at least like that. I mean, I might have killed something like that in a video game before.
Right.
But as far as in film, I don't know if I've seen something like that before. And it's not really a horror movie, but there are a couple of images, maybe a couple of sequences that were like, jaw drop. What the hell was that kind of stuff?
That's a good point. That does remind me. Some of the things I was impressed with the movie was I guess I'll call it the gore factor.
Okay.
There were some of those scenes that were just over the top gory.
Yeah.
But were really exceptionally done.
I agree.
Like it didn't frighten me. I don't think it didn't scare me in the sense of scare. It was disturbing.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god, this is really happening.
So
it was that kind of reaction.
We saw it. It was a pretty packed house when we saw it, and if you can see a horror movie with other people, I always think it makes a difference. And when you watch a scene that's like disturbing like that, or a scary scene, part of the fun sometimes is seeing the audience reaction.
Oh yeah, everybody around.
I felt like there were a couple of times when there were these like almost gross out moments or these gore disturbing moments, and I could hear the crowd like kind of murmur like, "What was that? Oh my god! Is that going to happen again?" Like, and I found myself kind of whispering that as well. There's I don't think it's any secret that there's creatures that are going to bust out of people. It's aliens.
We figured that out by now, right?
there's like the one of them happens, and it's like, I think I even like I exclaimed. Like,
yes,
there
was gasping involved.
And so I want to give that a nod as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much everything positive you can say about the film from our perspective.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just kind of all goes downhill from there.
So, if you have a number one negative, what's your number one negative?
My number one negative is, oh god, that's actually kind of a tough one.
I'll give you mine.
Okay, yeah, you go ahead first. Yeah,
it's not an alien movie.
Yes,
it's Prometheus 2.
For sure. Okay, well that will make my decision easy because that was up there.
Yeah, that's got to be it for me.
My other one is I can't stand, even though I know it's fiction, I know we're talking about science fiction, I can't stand the lack of just kind of basic logic.
Oof. I know what you mean, but explain yourself.
Yeah, I just, no matter how you want to characterize this movie, there are just certain things that happen at the very outset, that I remember as criticizing Prometheus 1 for similarly just kind of nonsensical crap, although this was actually worse. I actually think in terms of the lack of logic, this was in fact worse. There were decisions being made almost immediately in this movie where I was laughing. I was like, no one would do this in this situation.
You talk about the equipment?
I mean, you
got to.
So is this appropriate for our non-spoiler version?
There's shots in the trailer.
Yeah, that's not really spoiling
anything. I think you're okay to go.
Okay. So we're going. I'm going to say it's almost twofold. And again, yeah, you're right. It's not spoiling anything. It's first of all, the whole premise of this movie is these are they're
colonists.
Yes, they're colonists. It's a team of people. The only people you see are like the main flyers of the ship. Yeah, you don't see all the colonists. This is simply the crew that's interacting on the bridge, I guess. So, they get, for whatever reason, I won't go into it, but they get woken up and they are coming to the bridge and they spot another planet. that I guess on their long-range scan seems to tell them that this is viable for human life in some way. You know,
Not just viable, but it's probably more viable than their original destination.
than the original destination. So let me just break this down logically, why this doesn't make any sense to me. This Endeavor, this is a giant ship with
2,000 people in it?
2,000 people. I mean, we're just going to guesstimate. I hate that word, but we'll throw out tens of trillions of dollars.
Oh, sure.
Invested in this endeavor to take people to a faraway planet.
Well, they had 8 years left on their, or almost 8 years left on their journey, which doesn't say how long they've been journeying. It could have been 10 years or more.
They've invested, let's just say God knows how much money, resources, everything, training, research, to throw into this huge ship with all these thousands of people. And they've clearly researched this one particular planet to set foot on and colonize. And they wake up and just happen to see this other planet and think, well, you know what? I guess the atmosphere is cool. Why don't we do this instead? And it's just like no crew in their right mind, after investing that much time, money, and resources, would deviate from a plan that was probably decades in the making. Even if your long-range scanners told you this is breathable air, this is potable water, it would just, no one would take that risk.
So I'm going to push back only a little bit, because I agree ultimately your decision wouldn't be that.
Yeah.
But in this crew of, I think it's 15 people in the crew.
Yeah.
In this crew of 15 are like experts. They're scientists.
Yeah.
And they clearly have the expertise. You see they have the expertise to like see if the planet is viable. And they clearly have instrumentation on the ship. You would just go to the planet and you would check it out.
Yeah.
Like, and you wouldn't check it out by like, you know, we're going to say this a lot, putting your face in it. You would use things like, even today, imagine like there's a scientific team, like a marine biologist or something, and they had a particular site they were trying to collect samples or whatever, and on the way to going to their particular site that they researched for days and weeks and years, they found a site that looked even better.
Yeah.
They wouldn't just dive in the site. They would like run all the necessary tests as best they could to determine, well, this is not viable or this is. At the very least, you would use like drones.
Right.
Like you would scan heavily for like weeks in orbit. You would use a series of weather satellites and
soil samples, everything.
You would have like you wouldn't just like go down and stick your face in it, which is exactly what they do. Now, it's also not as simple as that. They also discover something on the planet that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So there is an element of like, we have to check this out because this is like a statistical impossibility. There is there is something legitimate they kind of have to look at. But again, I think the way they go about doing it is flatly ridiculous.
Yes.
Just in Prometheus, there's a ridiculous sequence where these experts in the field go into this chamber and they find there's air, and they're wearing like these environmental suits. And the scientist, I think he's just an anthropologist. He's not like a biologist or something, but he like just takes his damn helmet off and amongst objections.
Why not?
But like other people do the same thing, and you're like, whoa. So something in Alien 1, like I think they're pretty cautious. There's the one guy who sticks his face in it, But in general, like there's an objection. Even when they're trying to bring the guy back in the ship, they're like, you can't bring him back on the ship because of this protocol. We have some alien life form.
Yeah.
There is a discussion of you can't do this, and to do this is the consequence. To not even address it is... Like in Prometheus, there's at least the other idiots who are like, don't do that.
Right. Good characterization.
Like,
other idiots.
Like 12 of these people go down on this planet in like khakis.
Yes. Oh, for sure, man. And you hit it on the head with the procedures.
Right.
Like, because that's what really struck me with Prometheus 2 here, is that okay, fine. They decide to descend to this planet, this new planet they may or may not know really important things about. And yeah, what do they do but go down in like hoodies and khakis? And it's just like, okay, you're trying... Yeah, I mean, again, I know it's science fiction, and I will gloss over all of the fake science.
Sure.
With cryopods and all this nonsense.
Yeah.
What I can't overlook is just standard logic. And if you're trying to tell me that these people are trained, employed colonists, explorers, you think like number one on the list of standard operating procedures for landing on a new planet is not wear protective gear?
So
how is that not number one?
It almost raises the question, like, if they had made it to their destination, which they do this thing where they explain that they've heavily tested they've heavily scanned the planet they're going to, but they're not sure about it, and they give like a percentage. So if you think about it, they're like they're only 2/3 sure that the planet they're going to is like viable.
Yeah.
Versus the one that they're going to now, like this new planet, is like 98%.
Yeah.
So if they'd never found this planet and they just went on their destination to their destination, they would have done it the exact same way. Like, they wouldn't have dropped down drones and like gone out in environmental suits. And like, you see, they have environmental suits. They just don't use them.
That's true. You do see they have them available.
That
we
is
just
correct.
choose not to use them.
They're just like, oh no, it's cool. And there's never like there's a certain amount of hand waving. It's fiction. If they had gone down in like a sealed like almost like a sub, right? They'd gone down in like a sealed probe or something, and been like, oh my god, there's no toxins whatsoever. We don't even have to use suits. You can at least give me that, and you can even have a character in the background say, look, I'm not going out there without a suit.
Yeah.
You can have this addressed, but like they never envisioned it. And like within 6 minutes, somebody's getting douched in the face with this alien spore.
Yeah. Yep.
So we talked about some of the good performances. There were some bad performances too.
Yeah. Oh, there certainly were.
And there's one big one, but in general, when you have your characters act stupidly, it goes from like the horror of, oh no, I don't want these people to get killed, or heaven forbid something happened to them, or don't go in that room.
Yeah.
When they act in like ridiculous manners, and not that all of them were like wholly ridiculous, but when you see a character do something ridiculous, you end up almost cheering against them. Like, I can't wait for you to get, the alien vagina in the face. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait for that to happen to you, because that's how you're acting. Like, you're not acting like a smart character. Like, when in the first Alien, Ripley is like really sound in how she's acting, aside for like, this is debatable, going back for the cat.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And
that's
like,
true.
I've watched it with certain people, and they're like, you can never go back for the cat. I watched it with other people, like, well, she couldn't leave the cat behind. I'm fine. Other than that, she's like really logical and like rational thinking.
Yeah.
Cool. So you cheer for her. You're like, go, do your thing, get out of there, you kill that alien, fine. When you're acting like a moron, like, and you see somebody who observes, man, what are these weird alien looking things? They don't really look friendly.
Yeah.
And he sticks his face in it. Like, he's like, oh man, you guys checking this out? And of course, he gets like infected in that second. And like, I don't feel like, oh no, not that guy. Well, I don't really know much about him, right? So,
Yeah.
but I'm like, dude,
You got what's coming.
okay, I've seen Alien. Maybe Alien doesn't exist in their universe,
Yeah.
but like, I'm not going to a foreign planet. Dude, I'm not going to somebody else's house and just sticking my face in stuff.
Exactly. I'm not going out in the woods somewhere and seeing something. Hell, wonder what that is.
Yeah.
Let me just smother my face in it.
You just never do that. So, I think the one I'm dancing around, the performance I'm dancing around, Billy Crudup.
Yes. Yep. Very, very poorly done.
I don't know if it was his character or if it was his performance. Maybe it was both. But I thought his character was almost like not appropriate for the universe.
Yeah.
He plays this character who's like very firm in his like religious beliefs, which I mean, you can certainly have a religious character in a sci-fi film. I've seen that, or sci-fi story period. I've seen that done before, but he's got this real, the edge to his character is about like, I'm defiantly about my faith in a world that's not about faith. It's a world that doesn't have, where everyone's like gone away from religion. But like, that's not really part of the first two Alien films.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's more a part of 3 or 4. I don't really remember that. So it's like this character's fighting a fight or carrying a theme that doesn't really resonate for me as an Alien fan.
Yeah.
It seems like kind of anachronistic. It's like
Yeah.
almost introducing a new theme in the Alien. Honestly, it feels like a character from Prometheus.
True, for sure.
That's kind of what the deal of Prometheus was. Like, in the face of all the science, what is faith? And it's one of the, I think, uninteresting questions of Prometheus, but I think it's there.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely carried it over into Prometheus 2. And it was like they threw that character in there because I think this movie the story was trying to, more than anything than being an Alien movie, touch on those creator. We kind of talked about it. I'm sure we'll get into it in the spoiler video, but trying to make a movie about this interplay between the creator and the created. And I think that it seemed like an afterthought to throw in this main character with religious convictions. They pointed it out very quickly in the movie, like right at the outset, like this guy has faith of some kind, and then it's just essentially glossed over the rest of the movie. It's hardly even mentioned anymore, and it ended up just being confusing. I just didn't even understand why we mentioned it in the first place if it wasn't going to be a focal point of any kind. If I had to say the other thing that I found disappointed in with this movie is I found a lot of it highly, highly telegraphed. And now I will say maybe part of this is for both of us maybe is because the genre or genres. That's another thing we'll have to talk about. What genre is this movie?
Sure.
Whatever, but
Sure.
But like I know we've seen plenty of it, so maybe we are primed to spot the keys.
Okay.
But maybe that's the case. But I will at least say there was hardly any point in that movie that I was surprised by what came next. Actually, there were multiple times I remember turning to you in the theater going, we all know this is what's happening, right?
That's right.
This isn't even, we're hardly even making this, we're hardly concealing it. And then the movie, I figured I was going to give the movie credit for just figuring the audience was smart enough to already know it, but then they would actually later on, 15 minutes down the line,
Have your aha.
yeah, like they were revealing something ingenious, and I'm going, we already knew this for at least half an hour. You're not surprising anyone in the theater.
So that's actually something I thought the movie was different than what it was. Like, I kept thinking, well, surely it can't actually be Prometheus.
Yes. Yeah.
So like they're introducing all this Prometheus, all this like legacy stuff from Prometheus, and it's like a red herring.
Yeah.
Really, like in the background, there's this other thing happening, and then it'll jump in and you were caught off guard.
Yeah.
But
It's
no.
actually entertaining aspect, like
Right,
lurking in the back.
But like no, it's just Prometheus. Like
Yeah.
and like when you look back on the film, you're like, oh no, all that wasn't a red herring. That was just them wasting my time with Prometheus.
Yes, that one most certainly was.
It was just Prometheus. So I think that's probably. I don't know if I have anything specifically general for the negatives, for the things I didn't like. I think we probably can wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we can move on and we can let loose with the
You want
specifics.
to give it a grade?
Oh God, the movie. That's I should have given that some thought. Pure entertainment value. It was an average. I would say I would give it a C. It was there. It was entertaining as a what was it, 2.5 hour? I don't even know how long the movie was. It was an entertaining movie. It just unfortunately, as somebody who was a fan of the series, it was extremely disappointing. But I know people who aren't huge. I hesitate to say alien buffs. It's not like I'm some kind of alien buff who could spout out, all the history and lore. But I would say for the people I have talked to that don't necessarily care or know that much about the series, they had a good time. They had a good time watching it, and I guess that's worth something. It just for people like us, it was just a huge letdown.
So I'm on the same page as you. The only place I would differ was I had a ball watching this film.
Yeah,
it was hysterical by the end. Like the garbage that was happening, like the stupidity, like the oh wow, you're really just gonna put your face? Oh wow, you're just gonna put your face right in that?
And I don't want to interrupt, but for like 5 seconds,
Go for it.
How many times did we, as well as the rest of the audience, laugh out loud?
Oh yeah,
at stuff that I don't think you were supposed to laugh at.
That's right.
I noticed this multiple times during the movie.
No, that's another because I think the audience was tuned in. Like the hype. It's not like the hype for this was huge. Like the hype for Prometheus was like enormous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember why I didn't see Prometheus initially, but I remember I got the first reviews and like they were so tepid. I was almost caught off guard by it. Mm-hmm. I ended up not seeing Prometheus for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I was so glad I saw it at home where I could just have a ball watching the film.
Yeah.
But this was, to me, like some of the advertising I saw, like it looked like an alien film. It was advertised as an alien film.
Yeah.
I heard Ridley Scott talk about, look, Prometheus was a mistake. We're going to go back to Alien. Mm-hmm. And I thought I heard that they were going to make a Prometheus 2 as well as an Alien Covenant film.
Yeah.
So I went into this thinking like I'm going to get an Alien film and I'm going to get to watch an Alien film in the theaters. It's like made by Ridley Scott. So I was going into this really looking forward to an Alien film.
Yep.
And then when I was most disappointed that it was not that it was a Prometheus film. If I had been told this was Prometheus going into it, I think I would have had a great time for the entirety of the film. I wouldn't have had like that 30, 40-minute span where I was like, I can't believe this is happening. So would I recommend this? Only if you know what you're going into.
Yeah.
If you know that this is Prometheus 2 and you're okay with that, go check it out. If you're looking for an alien film, like if you're like, man, I hated Prometheus, I love Alien 1 and 2, I'd love to see the continuation of Alien, wait for rental. You wait for Netflix or Redbox or whatever other service you have.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you getting a good time out of this unless you really want to see, above all else, you just want to see Ridley Scott directing something in space.
Hey, it'll satisfy that at the very least. Yeah, for sure.
I think that does it for the regular one. Let's go into the spoiler one.
I would say so. So yeah, we will. I think a good way to end this is to point out, just in passing, you see what's above our heads or behind us. This scene, one of many scenes from tons of promotional material that they released on YouTube and online.
That's right.
This crap, not in the movie. Like this scene back here is not in the film.
It's homework.
If you want to watch this movie and actually appreciate half of the characters that get almost no screen time, you need to watch these things.
I think you're right.
Because otherwise, you're going to be sitting there like I was, going, "Who was that?
Who's that?
Why do these people matter?" So yes,
how did this get here?
Yes. So you need to watch this nonsense. Get on YouTube. Well, if you're watching this, you're already on YouTube. So yes,
watch your featurette before and do your homework.
Make sure to do that because otherwise, this is going to be just craziness to you.
All right, let's get into this.
All right.